I finally get myself to Odeon after walking around for maybe 45 minutes or so. I sit in the matatu and I text my husband what happened in the night. I tell him how I survived the streets of Nairobi. And he says, "Oh, that's really nice. Cool." I tell him I'm safe. I'm on my way home. So as I'm texting and the matatu is weaving going up towards Waiyaki Way to my sister's place where I was staying, I'm texting him like this. In a split second, it's dark. I've got a gun in my head, held to my head. Yes, the driver has been thrown back. It happened in a split second. My phone has been snatched. The driver is seated next to me. There are three gunmen in the matatu. The matatu swerves around and is heading down, speeding to I don't know where. Everybody is told to take everything they have. All the bags are collected. My ring was taken. Everything was taken, including the payments for the artists. Everything. I lost my entire I used to carry around my studio for the play that has the sounds, that has my script, that has everything. All taken. My computer, my camera with all the footage taken, gone. So as we're weaving around now, I become alive. I become alive to what's going on. The lady next to me is crying her heart out. I begin to realize this could be our end. And the guys are talking about how they're going to rape all the women. And all I'm saying is, I want to tell the guy who's holding the gun to my head, I want to tell him to just leave my ID, because he was there putting his hands in my pockets. Because the reason I needed my ID left there is because I needed my husband to identify me. I didn't want to be lost anywhere. I didn't want that body found and no one can tell whose body it is. I knew that was it. I knew that was it. So I just needed my husband to be able to say, yes, she's the one. I didn't want him to have to look, because that would have been too traumatizing for him. I had reached that stage because we were speeding somewhere in the night and I don't know where. And they already had a plan of what they were going to do. So, and I'm thinking, I'm sorry, guys, this play is not going to go on. This is a real play right here. This is a real play. So they take us to another place where they decide that they have gotten enough, because they're looking through our bags. They look through my bags. The goodies are incredible in the bag that I had, and others. They just couldn't believe their loot. So they dumped the matatu. They dumped the matatu in the middle of nowhere, and they slink off. All of them, they just disappear into this place, another place that is thick with humanity, and I can see sharks all over. But people are just passing with their goodies, coming from where, women, children, just going about. It was a slum somewhere, and the driver jumps back to the matatu. Everyone is shaken. And now the debate in the matatu is, do we go to the police or not? Half the passengers are saying there's no use of going. Half of them are saying we've got to go. The driver says, I have to report this because the owner of the matatu will not believe me if I don't report it to the police. So we go around asking where we are. Finally, the driver makes his way to a place, Ruaraka or something, after driving a long way. And we're shown a police station. We stayed there until about 2 o'clock recording. And I managed to talk to most of the passengers. And I collect their stories. It's just amazing. Well, I remember particularly one architecture student who was so shaken. Why? He lost his entire portfolio. I was so heartbroken. I'm like, forget what I've gone through. I forget this. I mean, he lost his entire portfolio. It's like, gosh, this is where I almost broke down. Because all through I'd become an observer. From the minute I had realized my life is gone, I'm looking at the last minutes of my life, I pretty much just become an observer and observing people's stories and what's going on, telling the lady next to me who couldn't stop crying. I told her, it's okay, it's all right. You know, all the time just telling her it's all right. It's okay. This young man, young student, his mind stolen, his entire work. I mean, talk about brain rape, gone. Another guy who was seated at the corner told me they had taken over 100,000 shillings. I was wondering, where were you taking 100,000 shillings to? But who am I? People are living their lives. People are living their lives. I, everyone had a story there. Everyone, you know. I'm talking to next I'm talking to the conductor. I had all this time because the police were recording statements. They took their time to record it. I'm asking I'm asking the conductor what his story was because I'm trying to figure out were they in on this or not. And he begins to tell me, I told the driver this should be our last trip, but he said he has to make more money because the boss needs more money to be made. No. And I was telling, yes, the conductor was saying it was raining, and I told him we should not make another trip. I told him. So every time he just kept on saying, I told the driver. The driver, they have to squeeze in every coin. They have a boss who owns the matatu. And these guys have to squeeze in every bit of the day. You know, these drivers and conductors, they're just workers who have to meet goals. You talk about the corporate world with goals they have to meet.
Target.
Yes, target. These guys are on target. So they have a schedule. They have to make, they didn't make enough yesterday. They need to make enough today. You know, they have to go around the city until they realize they're exhausted. They're about to drop dead. So, and you know, the driver was a Mocorino guy, so he had his turban, and they yanked it out, and that I could see just kind of he dissolved into, his identity was destroyed, and he's trying to tie it back on later on because that's who is. It's just nobody cared. Nobody was caring about what you're doing to anyone. I went. Now, here's the interesting part. I make my way home about 3 o'clock in the morning. My sister and husband are waiting for me. They have no idea what happened. So I tell them the entire stories and they're completely shaken. And I'm supposed to wake up in about 3 hours for an interview at KBC. Yes. My head is pounding because the guy with the gun, someone behind, had punched my head. Trying to make sure I take everything out of my pockets and I don't hold anything back. And so my head was pounding with pain. My sister gives me some medicine and I tell her I have to be at the interview. I need to be. This is one of my most important interviews ever because I need to be there. I need to tell Kenya what happened and what is happening. So I make sure I get to KBC very early in the morning. And they're asking me about the play. I tell them the play is about trauma. And I'm going to tell you what happened last night. And the guy who's interviewing me looks at the cameraman. He almost wants to cut it off because this is not what they brought me to talk about. I'm saying, I'm going to talk about this. One day, after I started telling everyone what happened, the stories that came out were even more traumatizing because every other person I spoke to had almost a similar story. I said, why aren't we talking about these things? How is this possible that we are all going through the same things and we're internalizing it all? How are we even living through this? You know? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.